Welcome, Boss Fam Nation. We are back at Real Talk Houston Studios for Season 2. We are now at episode 11, and we're back with our third segment of our election series. So today we have James Guillory. He's joining us again. I'm Democratic candidate for Texas State Representative. Welcome back, James Guillory.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm looking forward to this every week.
I know.
I really do.
I know. We got a lot of momentum built up, you guys. There's been a lot of communication and questions and comments coming in, so we're very, very excited about that. I want to start out by saying today's episode is sponsored by Mevis Cultural Center. They're located at 14710 Hiram Clark, Houston, Texas, and it's owned and operated by Martin and Victoria Eason. And they're actually having their 31st annual Black History event on February 25th, and that starts at 7:30. It ends at 10 p.m., and they're only asking for a $5 donation, you guys. So please, if you can, try to make that event. You can also make a $5 donation if you can't make the event. So again, that is Mevis Cultural Center, 14710 Hiram Clark, Houston, Texas. Thank you guys so much. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about housing, unfair lending practice, housing issues, and how that impacts the community negatively, and what we can do to make that a positive impact in the community. We can start by making sure James Guillory gets elected for District 131. That is a really good place to start, so we can start making some positive changes in our community. So there's been a lot of talk. There's a lot of people scratching their heads, stressed out, and concerned about what's happening in our Houston community relative to housing, and in Texas too. It kind of impacts more than just Houston. So we're going to start out, we're going to talk about small businesses, we're going to talk about banking, and we're going to really focus on unfair lending practices. We're going to start with the fact that here in the Houston area, I can't really speak for other cities, but here in the Houston area, homes have increased in value by at least 33%. So these sellers are charging whatever they want for these homes, and it's putting a lot of us at a disadvantage for buying the homes. So it's good for the sellers, bad for the buyers. So let's talk about that. What is happening there with these price increases? Very unfair.
Yes. You know what? I think we have to kind of step back to the beginning of COVID, when we start seeing the shortage of supplies for the building of new homes. We started seeing labor shortages, things of that nature. I think over the COVID period, a lot of that built up. We had some help from our federal government for different programs that allowed definitely some help from some small businesses that was needed, some help for individuals that was needed. And at the same time, I believe our industry, which is our housing industry, the manufacturers of those supplies and products, the challenge of labor. I just think at the end of the day, we had a shortage that now we have to get back to now that supply that's on the shelf, that available product that's there, so that prices get back in line, so that now there is now a demand and a supply available to meet that demand to where prices can get back in line. Now, with that being said too, I have to be honest in saying that I believe our industry, and I'm talking about our housing industry, suppliers and vendors, are really taking advantage of this situation. If you really look at their stock prices, those that are the major suppliers of wood, concrete, steel, electrical supplies, things of that nature, you know, if you can look at their stock price and seeing that some of them have just been doing almost doubling their profit.
Yes.
Right? Yes. That to me tells me right there that if you're now more profitable, almost doubling your profit now, you're saying you have a shortage of supply, you say you have a shortage of labor. Many of them now saying, what's the incentive to go back to doing it the way we were doing it with full shelves and supplies and products if we're doubling our profits? So we, in all honesty, and I got to say this with all respect to our president and our vice president, I need them to stop listening to the economists and start talking to the individual businesses that are in this industry to find out how they are being affected. Because unfortunately, listen, there are builders who are not able to build as much, who are not able to put as much product out there to keep the prices down.
So true.
So I really want to see our government, and I'm talking about on a federal level, really sit down with the local men and women who are in the trenches of these businesses that are building these products to find out how can we help, what do we need to do. And our president and our vice president needs to call to the table the industry leaders of these products to say, making money,
right,
hand over fist.
Right.
We have less and less product out there. COVID is dying down. People need to go back to work. There's no more of this additional economic incentive funding that's out there.
Yeah,
we all need to come together to get our economy back going again. And I need to hear our president and vice president talking about that more.
Yeah.
So I think that's some things that's just a broad overview of some of the things that need to happen.
Right.
And I think our governors, if they start talking to one another instead of talking at one another,
right?
Whether some are Republican, some are Democrat, and remember we are the United States of America. If we start talking together and working with one another, those governors of all these states could work to have some impact on those industries that are major businesses in their own states.
Right.
And they can work with our president, whether our president is a Republican or Democrat, president. We need to work together because the industry is taking advantage of the fact that we're fighting one another.
It is, exactly.
And at the end of the day, the individual citizen is the loser because they can't afford to get a new home. They're paying more and more for apartments and housing. It's impacting the individual citizen, and that is their voter.
Right.
And for the companies, that is their customer. We have to remind everybody of that.
Right.
So
I had a comment, very good information there. I had a comment that came in today to my inbox that said if Biden wasn't president and Trump was still in office, we would not have this problem. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally disagree with that. I mean, first of all, COVID came into play when Trump was in office.
It did.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay, so the problem started when Trump was in office, and it was still a problem when he left office.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to judge of what could have happened or what would have happened.
Right. Yeah.
And I just my opinion, and I am a Democrat. But regardless, I believe that Biden is a good president, and we needed his let's just say his ability to tamper down the rhetoric, the disrespect. I really believe we needed Biden and Harris in office to really get back on a trajectory of trying to be respectful and work with one another. So I'm not going to blame everything that has happened on them. With pricing and cost of housing and lending. Listen, we have a capitalist society. We do not control pricing. We do not tell businesses how to run their business or where to set their pricing. But as a government who spends a lot of money with these industries, more than we do as individuals, they have a lot of influence.
They do.
They can do a lot. They can say a lot. They can put some things in place to make it harder for those who are, I'll say, are creating a system and a pricing system that's unfair and unaffordable. They can do something about it. And I personally don't think Trump would be the one probably worried about the average medium income struggling American on how they're going to get housing tomorrow and how their prices are going to be fair. I personally don't see that or see that he would have been that person. But once again, I don't care. He's not the president anymore.
Exactly. So we can't talk
and
about that.
I am just trying to, I hope, be in a position where I can relay some of my community's concerns and my citizens' concerns to that governor in the state of Texas when I become state representative, to relay to our congressmen and women who have the ear of the president in Washington, D.C., so that we start communicating and finding some options that gets this under control.
That's great. I totally agree with you on that. We definitely need that to happen. A lot of people are not getting a cost of living increase. So the cost of living increases are stagnant on people's jobs. A lot of people. Some people are getting a cost of living increase yearly, but a lot of people are not. So even a Snicker bar, let's say for example, a Snicker bar is a lot smaller now. It's about maybe 15% smaller than it normally used to be when we were growing up. And not too long ago, I would say 2 years ago. Yeah. And it cost more. Right. And it's not just that. It's gas. It's things we buy at the store. Things that we need. Water. But things that we need to buy at the store is a lot more expensive, and we're not getting as much. Even the bottles of soda, like the 16-ounce bottles of soda, they don't even look 16 ounces anymore, but they're more. They're like $2.19 for a small bottle.
That's right.
So what are our chances of getting that cost of living increase to keep up with the cost of our goods?
You hit on one good thing. Your whole question is a great question, but it makes me think of something. Do you remember the commercial where the older woman was buying a burger and she said, "Where's the beef?"
Yeah.
You remember that old commercial? Mm-hmm. It makes me think of that right now every time I go out for fast food. Yes. Every time, just like you're saying, the Snicker bar that used to be 59 cents or 75 cents is now $1.25, and it's smaller.
And it's smaller.
I mean, listen, a Snicker used to have a whole peanut in it.
Yes.
Now they done grounded up the peanut, spread it out, made the bar smaller. It's terrible, right?
Yeah, it really
is. And once again, if you think about it, throughout this whole process, who stood up and said anything about it? No, I have not heard a public official that's looking out for the greater good of our entire citizenship to say, industry, what's going on here? This is not right. And listen, when COVID has come about, and all of a sudden we are short on labor, and now our $8, $9, $10 employees are now able to get $12 and $15 maybe. But here's the problem. What good is an additional $4 or $5 an hour when your food prices have doubled? Your car prices have now gone up 30-40%.
Correct.
Your housing has gone up now 20-30%.
Right.
What's the benefit of that extra $3 to $5 that you got an hour? We have not benefited from that increase.
Correct.
And that's, once again, I gotta say, this unfortunately is not a local issue that many local politicians have the power to really affect broadly what needs to be done. But our local politicians can reach out to our federal politicians.
Right.
Just like we did when we had the issue with the voter suppression law that was going down in our state house.
Right.
We have to come together as local politicians with the concerns of our local citizens and take it to a federal level and say, listen, I appreciate you listening to the smart economists, and I believe in economists. I love it, economics, right? I love everything about it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to talk as a small business owner that's been in business myself for 23 years.
Correct.
Individuals like yourself. Listen, I want you to talk to the people who are actually in the business of building and supplying this product and having to sell this product. I really need you to listen to us so that we come up with a solution.
Yeah. Talk to the individuals.
And once again, it takes a representative, I believe, like myself, that's willing to step out and say, I don't just go to Austin to fix laws and make new laws right here in my own backyard. If there's a problem that's affecting my constituency right here, if I got to go to the next level, to our federal government and bring something up and get a group of people to work with me in that level, then I need to do that.
Yeah. That's good. Need that. There's also a dilemma with housing when it comes to Section 8, or the wait list is forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That the wait list is growing. It's probably due to people who don't have jobs anymore. People are sick now and they can't go back to work, maybe as a result of COVID. What can we do about the housing dilemma as far as availability for people that really are handicapped, they're disabled, and they need assistance with housing? Why is the wait list a year or two long?
I know a lot about this because actually one of my family businesses that we've been in probably for about, I would give it at least about a good 40 years now, has been the multifamily and single-family rental property business.
Okay.
That is an area that became an investment that, as my family was in the gas station and grocery store business since the early 70s, that became an investment tool for them, which was residential real estate, multifamily real estate.
Yes.
So I have the experience with Houston Housing Authority and the Section 8 program and things of that nature.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about prior to COVID, when the need escalated.
Okay.
Is something that I saw that actually had me really interested in being a part of or being involved in politics a little bit. Was unfortunately one of the things that I've seen over years and years of being in this business with my family is you would see a single mother that's probably has about 3 or 4 children, and she needs that assistance to get that boost, that leg up, in order to get herself stable, get her family stable, get them in a good school so they can be educated, and that mother can get back to work, hopefully.
Yes.
I think what has happened, what I've seen that happens too often, is that same mother and family, unfortunately, is consistently staying on that Section 8 program, not in order to get in, to get themselves leveled up, get the additional education that they probably didn't get. They need to go back and get their GED or college education. And that parent is now living on Section 8 for years and years and years. I'm talking 10, 20, 30 years.
As compared to doing better and getting
and
out.
Progress, and also that somebody can come in.
Okay.
Right?
Turn it over.
They're not turning it over in progress. And what I saw that was so sad to me was you see those same 3 or 4 children, you see 1 or 2 of those daughters who now are calling our office because they're looking for a Section 8 house too, because now they have 2 or 3 children.
Okay.
Mom is now aged off the program because her children are now 18 years of age, so they can no longer get the same assistance.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes you see the mom now living with the daughter who now has 2 or 3 children back on Section 8.
And the cycle continues.
And listen here, I'm going to say again, the program is needed for help those who need it. Right?
Need being the key word.
Right. What we got to do, and you know, this is what comes down to the community and the pride piece that I want to push, because as an African-American man that lives in that community, that has family members, have been on this program, and I've seen it up close for myself. Yeah. We got to be honest in talking to one another in our black and brown community about having pride of using that program for its purpose. Yes. Growing out of that program so that your children see we have elevated ourselves. Mom and dad have been able to work off of this system, and now that child has said, I can work upwards too. Right. I can progress too. Right. Here's one last thing. Okay. One of the things that program does that really saddened me when I learned it is that program will not be available to that young woman when she wants to get married to a man. Yes. Or if she's with a man that has a criminal record. Okay. Look at the cycle that this system really is putting in place. It's saying if you have a man to come in your life and marry him, we no longer going to help you. Okay. Well, that man probably is also some young man who's probably on minimum wage trying to make it also. So we are penalizing the black and brown family for trying to become a family, have a husband and wife that's trying to grow their family and take care of children so children can have a mom and dad in the house. In the same household. And now housing is saying, well, we're not going to give you the same help because now you have somebody else who's a male figure in the house who now... although that person should be supporting that family, should be providing also. Right. You don't immediately tell them that they can't have some help because those two are probably struggling together. They need to grow together. So correct. All that I'm saying to say, our system has some benefits, but our system also has some parts of it that are broken, that are not helping our family unit in the black and brown community.
Need a little repair.
Need some repair.
How about just assigning a time period? If you get married, only if you get married, not just the boyfriend moving in, but if you get married, you have 90 days to, change your situation.
He
can get a job, and you guys can move out. Not just immediately kick them out. But does that apply to females too? What if a mom moves in, like you mentioned before?
Right.
Is that breaking the law of housing, Section 8 as well?
I'm not going to tell you all the rules. I have worked within the system, being a property owner. But the rules and the rules change, just like when every new administration comes in. There are new rules that come down the HUD pipeline. Yeah. So I don't know all the rules. But let me say this. Just like Housing and Urban Development can take an application from a mom with 3 kids to say, okay, are you working right now? And if you are, if you're only making this minimum amount, well, we're going to assist you by giving you this additional amount to help you with your rental housing needs. Okay. That man should be able to come into the life of that young lady, and they build a family if they get married, and put his same application down. And say, okay, well, now I'm making this amount. So now, instead of housing now providing $1,000 a month, maybe now they say, okay, well, with you two together, now it looks like you probably need $500 a month.
Bump it down a level.
So I'm saying I don't want to put anybody on a timeline to hurt them for progressing and getting help. Yeah. But one, I want them to be able to be a family unit because we need family units in the Black and brown community. Correct. And I also need housing to not just divvy out money. I need them to make sure they're working with that family unit or that individual man or woman that's on housing. Yeah. How can I assist you to get in? Right. And how can I assist you to get out of it? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And you know what? And then that goes back to the individual, because we got to take initiative ourselves to say accountability to say, you know what, I need this for a time period so I can work my way off it and do better. Correct. If we're not talking about doing better as a person, as an individual, and as a family unit, our community is not going to grow. We're not going to see more jobs and companies and businesses in our community. We're not going to see better schools in our community. We have to have the mental state, the mental focus, that underlying goal of saying, I'm a man and woman in this United States of America. I can do and be anything I want to be. And I want to be something good and great, and I want my children to see it, and I want them to be even greater. We got to have that underlying attitude. That's the only way this is going to change.
And currently it's not there.
It's not there, but it can change.
We need that.
And I got to say, our churches can be the force that can help us kick this off immediately. Because we have so many of our men and women that are in church that if our church leadership takes the initiative that we start talking about this, you will see an immediate improvement just because that's such a strong unit itself already. It is, yes. It's such a strong unit. And you got to understand, when that starts there, it's going to cycle outside of there. I really believe it.
Ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect. Right. I have visited now upwards of about 22, 23 churches since I've been campaigning since August of last year. And I meet every one of the pastors that I go to the church that present me or allow me to speak. And I tell them every time, I look forward to winning this race March 1st. Right. And when I do, I'm coming back to work with you. Right. I need you. Yes. The greatest resource we have in our Black and brown community, I believe, is our church. Right, it is. Our veterans and our seniors. Yes. I think that group right there combined, we could turn a lot of things around.
They play a vital role in the community.
And I want them to know the benefit that they play. Yes. And I want us to stop penalizing our seniors for getting out and getting additional work to help them make it through.
Make ends meet.
These heavy economic times. Yes. And penalize them, taking away their Social Security when they need that additional job just to make ends meet. Yes. Again,
that is horrible.
Again, as your state representative, we are not going to let that stand.
We need that.
We are not going to let that stand. We got to change that.
You can't make $100, or you'll get penalized. We're going to take your house, or we're going to. And I've seen that happen before. I've seen a senior get a letter. She was getting her Social Security. She was working, I forgot what job she had, but it was at a community store. I can't remember which one. But, she received a letter in the mail that saying you're making too much money. And she said, I'm barely making ends meet. Yeah. So do I have to be destitute and not be able to buy myself, dinner, or you want me to just. That's what you want me to do. It's barely make it. They want you to barely make it.
It's another one of those systems, Social Security, like we talked about housing, where there's some good things there. Yeah. There's some good benefits there, but there's some pieces in it that's broken.
Yes.
That really need to be detailed out and worked out.
Yes.
While I've been out campaigning, I remember one day we were out putting out signs for our campaign, and I was across from a school, and one of the ladies was a crosswalk guard.
Okay.
And she came over, she said, I'm so looking forward to voting for you.
Yeah.
And she told me about her situation as a senior, being retired, and she says, I'm out here as a crossing guard, but at some point, if I make this much money over and beyond a certain amount, I get penalized and they reduce my Social Security benefit.
Right.
When I'm trying to now take care of feeding my family, when a bag of groceries was at one time $35, now $75.
For the same amount of groceries.
But Social Security hasn't recognized that.
Correct.
They're not picking up the amount. So what do? She's taking the initiative, what we're talking about right now. She's saying, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I have pride. I'm going to feed my family. Right. I'm going to make sure we pay this rent, even though it's increased.
Exactly.
But then we got a system over here that's saying, well, we're going to take away some money that we're helping you with because you're getting out there hustling.
Exactly.
You being the example we need.
Makes no sense at all.
We got to stop it.
Yes, we do.
We got to address it, and I will do it.
It makes no sense. That's like an oxymoron. You don't want people to be getting assistance, but when they try to get out there and do better, you want to penalize them for trying to do so. So, do you want them to be in the system, or do you want them to be, it's make up your mind. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Rumor is that out-of-state buyers are coming in and buying up all the properties, and rumor is that is another reason for the increase in property values and home values. So people from California, New York, Vegas, Miami, they're all coming to Houston because our economy is great. We have a lot of space, large homes, and the amount is not as much as what they pay there. They have, it's been compared to 1,000 square foot apartment in these other cities, right? And they can get 3,000 square feet here for the same price. So rumor is they're all moving down here, buying all the properties, and that's why the homeowners can say, "Oh, I'm going to charge $390 for my house, even though it's worth $330." And then there's a bidding war for that particular house.
Right.
I know several realtors, and they're telling me that their buyers, their sellers are having a frenzy because it's a bidding war. They're getting more than what they listed the home for because it's a bidding war for people out of state, mind you, trying to buy that home. Right. So us locally here, I'm specifically speaking about Houston because this is where we are currently, but even Texas, period, our homes are cheaper than other states. Right. So is that rumor valid, or is it just fluff?
I think it's a very valid analogy.
It's happening,
right? It's happening. But I'm gonna go back to our discussion earlier about housing affordability and why. Because listen, it is happening at such a fast, quick rate.
Yes.
Simply because home supply is down so much. New home supply has been reduced so much.
Correct.
Because of materials, because of labor, because of that squeeze that we have not addressed. Well, now you have houses that's sitting on the market that are 50 years old, that used to sell for $120,000 that's now selling for $200,000.
Correct.
So, and it's not just the fact that money is coming in from out of our state, from people that sell in $1 million home in California. That is part of it. But I think if we get control of, one, the cost of new housing being built, you're going to see more and more housing supply available. It's going to reduce the cost of existing supply, and we're going to see a little bit of normalcy come back in this area.
Hopefully.
I don't have an answer on how you control someone who can buy a home in California for $1 million and come here and buy it for cash.
Right.
I don't see how I don't totally see how you totally eliminate that. But I do say this: we do have to also hold our lending community and our realtor community accountable as well.
Okay.
Okay, because at the end of the day, they are making a lot of money and taking advantage of this situation.
Correct.
I'm on the buyer side of real estate all the time. That is part of my business.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't do a lot of selling. We do a lot of buying. We're long-term investors.
Right.
And I can tell you on some of the real estate that we've been trying to purchase over this COVID period, we've seen agreements from realtors and sellers that is totally ridiculous and out of bounds of the fair realtor agreements that we usually deal with. I have seen realtors literally, they don't want to. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries.
I have seen realtors literally not even show you a home unless you come with a pre-approved letter from a bank that already you can pay over $50,000 of what this house is worth in order to even look at it, right?
Correct.
So here's my thing. From an industry standpoint, I want to hold the real estate industry and the lending industry accountable for participating in this situation that's escalating these prices and allowing it to continue. See, as an industry, we can say, you know what, this is not fair to the everyday American and citizen, and we're not going to participate in that. We've got to do something about that. But in all honesty, everybody's looking at it as an opportunity for the lender to make more money, for the realtor to make more money. And what's going to stop that if everybody who's participating is benefiting financially, except for the person who needs the house, who needs to buy some housing, so on and so forth. So, in all honesty, here you go again. And this is where I come in at as your state representative that has some knowledge in this area. And I won't have knowledge in every area. But see, I'm willing to sit down with the Texas Realtor Association membership and leadership. I'm willing to sit down with the ones in the Houston market and say, everyone, let's look at some of these things that are going on. This is unfair.
Yeah, very unfair.
How do we come together to get this system back in line so the opportunity for everyone who wants a house, whether it's $150,000, $250,000, $300,000, everybody gets a fair shot.
The buyer and the seller, it should be fair for both sides.
Exactly right. So once again, it's going to take people who are making the money to be honest and saying, you know what, I was doing well when I was making 25, 30% profit. Now I'm over here making 75, 100% profit, but you know what? People are hurting. We got to get to the point to where we care.
It's price gouging.
We got to get to the point where we care. Even though we're business owners, even though we're in an industry that's doing well, we got to care. And I'll take the insurance industry in this too. We'll talk about that another time. But we got to care. And you know what? I think that's another area where our leadership comes into play, which is why I supported Biden as president. Because we need somebody to talk like we care. Because if you're that example and you talk like you respect people, you talk like you care about people, you're trying to put policies in place that are fair to people, it should trickle down.
Compassionate about the American people.
It should trickle down to our other states. It should trickle down on a local level, county level, city level.
It should.
That's what we need. And when more of our politicians, especially, I got to be honest, those on the Republican side, when we get away from the selfishness of trying to follow some of the negative actions of Trump, we're going to get back to recognizing that we still need each other. We still all U.S. citizens. If somebody comes across our border, if we have a problem with the Russian president trying to start a war in our own country, we're going to look out for one another.
We need to.
Regardless of our party. So let's do it now without the military uniform and a gun in our hand. And let's look out for one another.
And that's,
we can do that right now.
That's unity. That has come about, that word has been key in all of our election segments thus far. It's unity. It takes unity and collaboration to get things done. Not the red against the blue. We're better than you. No, we need to work together.
Just
for the American people and stop fighting each other,
and creating some kind of negative component out of what everybody's doing and saying. I watch different news segments where CNN or Fox or MSNBC and others. And you know what? I see the negative statements that people are just trying to turn around a story.
Correct.
Just to come up with something negative.
Negative.
And what we don't realize is, do you realize how much we're falling behind other countries because we're fighting one another?
Right.
We're falling behind economically.
Correct.
We're falling behind education-wise.
Yeah.
We're falling behind just because we want to knock somebody else down so we can be on top.
Right.
But on top of what?
Being,
on top of education system that's now, you know,
childish.
number 20 plus or 20 something when it could have been number 2.
Right.
It's senseless.
I know. It makes no sense at all.
Senseless.
I know. And I think other countries are probably laughing at us on some aspects. We might be good in some areas, but I think on a big scale, they're like, wow, America.
Fools.
Just shaking their head,
Yeah.
you know, like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. There has to be some long-term impacts for the people about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Everything is inflated. You know, it's hard to get what we want. People are stuck in their homes. They want to buy a new home, but they can't because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
So what do you think, what are the long-term impacts? What are we going to be looking at? Long-term impacts of what's happening right now.
I think all the things that we talked about have to be done. We have to have the right leadership and right leaders to speak up.
Right.
But here it is when you talk about the long-term effects. I think once again, and this is when I make the statement, everything is not solved with law.
Right.
And I'm going to go back because once again, as an African American man in a community representing almost half Latino, half African Americans.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and saying, from a community cultural standpoint, we have to look at honestly what's going on in our own community and our own culture.
Right.
And what do we need to do better? We got to start looking ourselves honestly in the mirror. We got to start looking honestly at our family members that we have that need to do better. We need to look honestly at ourselves when we need to do better.
Yes.
And we need to talk about it, and we need to talk about solutions to it.
Yeah.
We've got to stop moving forward, just letting stuff go. Just letting it be.
Right.
We got to quit that.
Move forward.
We got to listen. I'm tired of seeing so many men that look like me that have gone from a Mercedes-Benz to a bicycle. Okay? Whether it's drugs, whether it's making the mistake of getting in trouble with some criminal action, whether it's making mistake of feeling like you need a Mercedes-Benz at 25 when there's nothing wrong with waiting 45 for the Mercedes-Benz, right?
Right.
We got to be honest in talking about that. I never felt the pressure of feeling like I had to have a certain car or a certain lifestyle to attract a lady. Right?
Yeah.
I want to say to my young African American Latino men, listen, be your best.
Right.
Do everything that you need to do so that you make a comfortable lifestyle for yourself.
Right.
And that young lady that would be willing to follow you and be a part of your life.
Right.
I think you'll be a lot happier because you found somebody that was able to live a lifestyle that you were comfortable
and love
with
you
and
for
you could afford and love you for you.
Not what you're driving.
That's right. So once again, you know what? We put it in our music. We put it in our raps. And listen, I've been listening to rap, all my life, right? But I can listen to stuff and also recognize where I'm at. I'm not Drake, right?
Right.
I don't make 100 million for this, that, and the other. I don't make 10 million for this, that, and the other.
You kind of look like Drake though a little bit.
Oh, don't do that. but I gotta say is nothing's wrong with being a part of that life and enjoying life.
Right.
And enjoying that music. But let's be honest in saying, hey, here's what I'm capable of doing. Here's what my education is going to allow me to do.
Right.
Here's what my job is going to allow me to afford. And you know what? I can be happy at 50,000, 75,000, 100,000. Well, let's put it like that. Before COVID, I probably could have said that somebody could be happy at 50,000, 75,000, 100,000. But right now, even those at that point are really hurting.
It's a struggle.
So we got to work to get them back to that comfort level. But I got to say that we got to learn how to be content.
Yes.
We got to learn how to be content.
Yes.
With what we're able to do, what we're able to achieve.
Yeah.
And definitely work to achieve all we possibly can.
Right.
And we got to be able to talk about it.
Right.
Because I want
right.
to stop these young men and young women from pushing themselves so far to where they do something illegally and they hurt themselves for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, because it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. Because if you're behind bars, then what?
What good is a Mercedes
You're
Benz?
not here.
What good is a Mercedes Benz at 18 or 20 if you go to jail at the age of 25 and you're in jail for 20 years? What's the purpose?
There is no purpose.
I could have 10 Mercedes Benz during that time. Now you got nothing.
Exactly.
And now your family is sending you money while you're in jail.
Right, putting the hardship on your family.
That's right. Your children
Emotional.
don't have an opportunity to grow up with you and learn from you.
Yeah.
We got to talk about those things.
Yes, I totally agree.
So
it
could be a lot, and it could be long.
I know.
This is a big job.
It is, and we could probably talk for hours because there's so many issues. And as we hit on the issues, we're peeling the layers back, right? And we're discovering more issues. So yeah, it's just communication is key. Being positive, staying focused. Those are the important adjectives that we need to remember. It's going to take an army. It's going to take an army of people that are on the same page, not fighting each other, but are on the same page. Again, unity. Yeah. We need to all get together and get all the important people in the room and have a roundtable discussion. Yeah. Whether it's in Austin when you become Texas State Representative, and here in the Houston community, we need to make sure we got all the right people at the table, have a roundtable discussion, and start making these changes. Right. So we're looking forward to you getting that ball rolling. Okay. I am too. Thank you so much. All right. There's no rental cap, so landlords can charge what they want, right? Yeah. That's not fair either. So, again, unfair housing. Yeah, I think I've seen this play out in areas like New York and California that have put some things in place on rental caps. I believe in Houston, maybe we haven't dealt with this as much to the point they've dealt with it. So I really believe our local city officials like mayor and city council members, I've seen it done in other states. I don't know about exactly how we can or which portions of that we can implement here. Okay. But let me get down to some details of why that escalation is taking place on the rental side too. Okay. Okay. First of all, even existing apartments that's been around 10, 20 years are escalating their price. Even when we're talking about the ones that are being newly constructed, their prices are being escalated for the cost of building it, right? Well, when the older ones, we call them, let's just say we call them A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade multifamily, right? So when that A grade new multifamily is being built, the B grade, C grade, and D grade say, well, if they're going to start their rental off at $2 a square foot, we've been at 75 cents a square foot. We're going to jump up to 125 because at least we're staying right underneath them, right? And that person's going to at least go down to that B grade or C grade so that they can afford it. Right. Okay. Let me talk about we talked a little bit about the cost of materials and repair of these units. We did. Which is one, I think supply is a big piece of it that we need to get control of. Yeah. But let's talk about the cost of a rental a cost that's passed from a rental property owner to the tenant in the form of rent. Okay. And this is when I always talk to my young people when I'm out there campaigning, those young people that are in high school about to get out and now going to get apartments soon. Or those in college that's getting an apartment soon or things of that nature. So whether you're 18, 25, or 35, we don't care. They don't care very much about what the cost of property taxes are. Right. The fact that property taxes have been escalating on average 10% increase every year. I'll point out to them is you don't own a home and you don't receive a property tax bill. Yeah. But guess what? You receive a rental invoice or you have to pay your rent every month. Right. Well, that owner who receives that big property tax bill, and I want you to know, multifamily is recognized as commercial from our property tax office. Okay. When they raise the rent, they raise that rent up sometimes 20 and 25%. Oh my! Right? What? Residential, they were able to cap some things, and you see it maximizing at 10%. And
and I guarantee you, our county is staying at that maximum.
Yeah.
But when you're seeing multifamily get hit with 20 and 25%, what do you think that owner has to do when he or she gets that bill that now their property taxes are going up? It's eroding their bottom line profit margin so they can make a profit and stay in business.
Right.
They're going to pass it on to the rental property owner. So I'm telling my young people, you must get out and vote.
Yes.
Because if you don't have the men and women in position as your state legislator, as your governor, as your senator, as your council member and commissioner,
right.
Listen, if they're not looking out for your interests, if they're just telling you that, we're going to give some additional rental housing assistance. Well, the prices are still going up, even though, and when I get our rental housing assistance, what I got? A big bill.
A big bill.
Right?
Right.
You gone from a two-bedroom that used to be $1,000 that's now $1,800.
Correct.
Now y'all living with two people in each bedroom, somebody on the couch, just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, and
right?
sometimes a lot of people are living in the same house.
And you just got to look at, there's some underlying factors. The cost of insurance escalating through the roof.
Yes.
The cost of property taxes escalating through the roof.
Yes.
The cost of material for repair is escalating.
Yeah.
Right? But this is my problem. No one's saying anything to anybody about it.
Right.
They're just letting it escalate.
Yes.
The politicians are just running for office again.
Yep.
Nobody's saying anything about it.
Yep.
Right now, the incumbent, the competitor that I have, Alma Allen, is trying to tell you all she's been doing for the last 17 years as state legislator, 10 years on the Texas School Board of Education. But I'm saying, what about the problems that exist today? What are you doing about them?
Exactly.
Do you have any idea on how to solve any of them? And I'm saying, I don't want to make this about my race, but my point is, and I'm pointing to all politicians. And one day I'm going to have to be in that fold to hold myself up and say, okay, I'm a politician. I'm accountable too.
Right.
What are we saying and what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
We are letting these industries run away.
Yeah. And do whatever they want.
That's right, doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
But our constituency, the same people we asked to come vote for us, are the ones who are paying the price.
They're suffering. Yeah.
And then what some politicians want to tell you is, well, that's not what my office deals with. That's not what we deal with. I want that to stop. If you are a state representative, if you are a county commissioner, if it's something you don't deal with, I want you to be able to direct them to the right person to deal with it.
Delegate. Yes.
Right? Don't just leave them out there floating.
Right.
And they have nowhere to go and nothing to do. And what we're going to find out, what I'm seeing already, as I've analyzed this position that I'm running for, there are some gaps between what a commissioner does and what city council member and a mayor and a governor does. There's some gaps in each one of those where you say, well, who's supposed to help me with this? And who's supposed to help me with this? And that's where that round table discussion comes in.
Yeah.
If we stop talking at one another because we're so partisan.
Right.
And talking with one another around the table, we'll hear from the constituency about those gaps, and we'll talk, and the mayor will talk to our Republican governor, and we'll talk about, well, you know what? If we can do this, and your office can do this, guess what? We meet in the middle, we close the gap.
Yeah, exactly.
And we benefit the citizen regardless of that citizen's political affiliation.
Yes, even if one of the sides have to compromise a little bit. But at least we're coming together, we're bridging the gap, and we're benefiting the people of the community.
That's right.
That's what's important.
Stop fighting.
Yeah.
We gotta work together.
The fighting is petty. It's petty.
And you know what? When the Republican voters start holding the Republican politicians for working so that we are, because guess what? The Republican voters are also paying this high rent, and many of them still can't afford it either.
It's true.
Right?
True.
They're dealing with the same problems. The unfortunate piece about it is the loudest voices of the Republican Party, these ultra conservatives, some of them aren't conservative, some of them just crazy. Right? Okay, so we've got conservatives.
This is true.
And we just got some crazies.
Right.
But the unfortunate piece about it is they become the loudest voice in that party lately.
Right.
And what I'm praying and hoping for is those common sense conservatives say, you know what? We're going to get together.
Yes.
We're going to work together. We're going to make our voice heard so that we can still be a Republican.
Yeah.
But we got to be sensible in the stuff that we do and say, you know, I've never focused as much on the George Bush junior years as I have when Trump was in office.
Okay.
I started looking at Republican here and said, you know what?
Right.
I may not have really agreed with George Bush on everything that went down.
Yeah.
But at least the man was putting some things in place, or was working to put some things in place where he worked with both sides of the aisle. I saw him work with Republicans and Democrats to get some things done.
Yes.
Bill Clinton worked with Republicans and Democrats to get things done.
That's correct.
Obama worked with Republicans and Democrats to get some things done.
Right.
It wasn't always an issue where they could work it out and we got support of Republicans or support of Democrats. But you can see the attempt to work with one another.
Exactly.
We got to remind our congressmen and women, and it's going to take the people who vote for them to do it.
To do that.
And if I got to go around and start talking at the conservative organization events and reminding them, I need the common sense conservatives to join me so we work together, because everybody's hurting, even Republicans.
Everybody's hurting.
Everybody's hurting.
We have, right now, our impacts from the housing situation is we have people that are homeless. The homeless numbers have increased. We have anxiety, people with anxiety, depression. The suicide rates are up. So it's a domino effect.
It sure is.
It's not just, I can't buy that house. I'll just go over here and get the, it's a domino effect. So a lot of emotions and things are happening based on what's going on with our housing situation. The increases. So it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot going on. What's a person to do? Some people can handle it. Some people cannot.
Right. It's a lot, and it's sad. It's frightening. Listen, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Without my faith, without my ability to really go to God with my problems, I can't see how I could ever make it through a lot of it.
Oh my gosh.
So I gotta say that as your state representative, we're gonna talk a lot more about faith. It may not be the most popular thing that politicians don't bring faith into the discussion, but I'm gonna be honest with you. In order for us to all calm down and settle down, to think about what's really going on, and how we can really move forward and solve some problems together and partner for progress together. I've got to be honest in saying that we got to be willing to hold some hands, say some prayers, and try to work together.
We need that.
We need it. And I'm not afraid to go to our state capitol and walk across the aisle to a Republican and tell them, listen here, I'm praying that we find some solutions that benefit every citizen.
It's not going to hurt. I say do it. Go talk to all of them. Make the effort.
It's my hope.
Do it. You never know how many you can get to shake your hand and say, yes, I agree, let's do this. And so, we need that. We definitely need that.
It's going to take them to be bold and remember, what the true reason for why they've been put in that position.
Correct.
The true reason. And it's not just the ones that's the loudest that they need to be listening to.
This is correct. And sometimes you think because you're yelling and making noise and kicking up dust that things are going to go your way, but that's not always true, and that's not what's always needed.
Yes, ma'am.
So I totally agree.
Most definitely.
So we had some questions that came in from the audience.
All right.
First one is,
audience, by the way.
And I know they had some really good questions, right?
I get some great emails, and I get Facebook responses and Instagram, but they're very encouraging. I really do. I thank people for providing me with some feedback. And like I said, everybody's going through a different thing. I haven't been faced with everything, so hearing them talk about, hey, can you work on this? And when you become elected, can you address this? I mean, I started with a list of 10 to 12 things. It's grown a lot longer since then, being out there talking to people. And I know I can't solve it all, but I'm going to work diligently to address whatever we can. And it's going to take some time. But at least you're going to see that we're working on it. And we're going to work together.
We need that.
We're going to work together. And I'm going to ask you to be involved. I'm going to ask them.
Oh.
Don't just come to me with the problem.
Yes.
Come to me with the problem.
Okay.
And be ready to come to work with me because
right.
it's going to take us to
Bring
work on
it.
it for a solution.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been going for an hour. And like I said, we can talk forever about this.
Yes, ma'am.
But we're going to have to go ahead and get in at least 2 quick questions from the audience,
I'm
okay?
working on a quick answer.
Okay, so the first one is the average interest rate on a 30-year mortgage is around 4.2. The feds are expected to increase interest rates by 1% by the end of this year. What does that mean for the housing market? So that means...
Well, I think what the Fed is trying to do is slow down this inflation, which is the increasing cost. Because money is so cheap,
yes,
you have a lot of people borrowing money and utilizing this cheap money. And as they're utilizing this cheap money, they're buying more. And the price continues to rise because you have less and less supply because people keep buying, right? So, you know, that is a tool that our Fed uses to say, hey, we got to slow this down. We got to calm this down. So, you know what, listen, everybody don't run out there and say, I got to buy a house now just because it might go up by a 1/4 percentage point or 1/2 percentage point. You know, listen, buy that house when you're fully financially ready to comfortably pay for it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because here's the thing. Even if that interest rate goes up a 1/4 point or 1/2 point, there's going to come another time where interest rates are going to go down again and you can refinance that home. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah.
So
We're
don't be so
that.
quick to do that. But that's just a tool. We need to get control of inflation.
We definitely
Without a doubt.
We do.
And it's going to take a lot of those things we talked about along with our federal government doing some of those things like interest rates.
Okay. Yeah. Good answer. In your opinion, why is Houston such a desirable location? I think it's because, you know, things are cheaper here. And how do you expect the influx of new residents that are moving here to affect the Harris County voting pools?
Good one. Well, first of all, we have a great diverse city.
We do.
Diverse people.
Yes.
Ethnic-wise.
Yes.
And we have a great diverse job market, a lot of industries, right, that want to be here. You know, that strong medical center that we have, strong oil and gas refinery industry. We just have some great components that make us a great diverse economy. Great city. Right? Yes. And you're right. When you're having to spend $5,000 for an apartment in New York that you can get here for $2,000, $2,500, or everybody's clapping their hands.
It's like, why not?
Right, why not? At that now, some of them are working virtually, still making New York money, but living here in Houston and getting it cheaper. Yes. But you know what? That's still another thing that we're going to have to address. Right? We're going to have to address those because we're coming up on an age of new technology, new ways to work. New ways to work from home or virtually, things of that nature. So we got to talk about now, how are we helping or hurting some things in our economy by this new technology and new way of doing things?
Right,
but
the new normal.
That's right.
Yeah.
What was the last part of that question? I'm sorry. Was it?
How is it going to affect the Harris County voting polls?
Oh, voting poll. Well, I don't know exactly how that's going to help hurt the voting polls. Let me just say this. And I'm going back to my district. Out of the 90, I think it was 25,000 plus constituents that could vote 18 and older. 96,000 are registered, but only about 15,000 are going out and voting.
Yeah.
So let me say this. First of all, we got to get away from just 10%, 20%, 30% going out and vote.
Yes.
So I realize that more people are going to come in, and more people may be coming in that I think what we're hearing is more people are coming in that probably are a little more not as conservative, that could be a little more liberal. So we could have more of a Democratic pool. But what good is it when we already have more Democrats here that could be voting, that could make the change right now, but they don't go out and vote.
They don't go vote.
Right.
Yes.
And listen, first, and I must say that I don't blame them all the time for not voting, because I've seen now up close some of the politicians that we have in office, and these are not bad people, but I got to say that our system of how incumbents, politicians, protect one another and keep other men and women from being able to get in and show their ideas and their energy to improve things. I think when we stop discouraging people
Yeah.
from being a part of it,
Yeah.
when they see that a new face can come on with a new idea, a new option to work things out and solve some problems, I think you're going to see more of a community energized to say, well, I want to be involved in that. I like that new idea.
Yeah.
I like that new person and that new energy they're bringing.
Yes.
But if we keep Xing them out
Right.
because they're not an incumbent, because the pool of incumbents have found a way to keep new people from getting in and having an opportunity.
Yeah.
Listen here. This is a statement I made to my daughter. I said, listen, my goal here in being a politician is to be able to get in, to make an impact,
Yes.
and either move up, move over, or move out.
Right.
I want to see the next young woman or next man come into this position that I'm going in as state representative at some point, and I definitely don't want to be there for 17 years.
Yeah.
I think it's an opportunity for me to get in, I hope within a 5-year to 10-year period, and say, hey, I was able to make this impact in this position.
Yes.
But guess what? Now, I'd like to move on to something else, up to something else, or I may want to go back and do what I was doing at first because I love my life. I love my business.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's hard to love your business when the impact of some of the things in politics is affecting your business from growing.
Exactly.
That's one of the reasons I'm here too. What good what good am I encouraging my daughters to be in my business when there are problems in my business that discourage me, and I'm asking them to be in it and
come
lead.
in and be discouraged with me.
I was like, tell my daughter, I want you to be president of this problem that I'm handing you.
Right.
No, I'm gonna get out and help go solve this problem before I hand it off to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be that way.
Exactly.
And I commend you for that.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, we're at the end of the show. February 25th is the last day of early voting, and voting day is March 1st.
Yes.
Okay? So make sure you guys get out there. Please, 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 please go vote. If you want to early vote, again, the last day for that is February 25th.
Yes.
Okay? The show, again, was sponsored by Mevis Cultural Center, 14710 Hiram Clark. They're having their 31st annual Black History event, February 25th from 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., all for a $5 donation. They'll have food, they have drinks. So you guys, please go out and celebrate. And we appreciate James Guillory for coming back through for segment 3.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And we're going to have another one.
And I'll be at the Mevis Center, by the way, on Saturday.
Okay, he will be there.
For Friday, on Friday for that event that night. So
great.
Please come out. I'd love to meet you and get to know you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Peace out, Boss Fam.